Hello everyone. Today we're going to work on creating grabbers, the first sentence of your paper. The sentence that's designed to grab your reader and not let their attention go. There's many ways to do this, and we're going to go over each way one at a time. You can grab your reader with an unusual detail. For instance, here's an interesting true fact. 2 Facebook pages are having a contest to see whether more people like winter than summer. If you started a paper that way, or if you read a paper that started that way, would you want to see what the next sentence had to say? That's one kind of grabber, an unusual detail. I don't think that unusual detail is that interesting, so I don't think that's the one I would choose for this paper. I would choose a different grabber. Let's see what else we can come up with. How about a quote? I'm going to go right to my Google page and type in quotes about winter and see if I can find something that I want to use in my paper. When I was looking up quotes, I found 2 I liked, right here. When the bold branches bid farewell to rainbow leaves, welcome wool sweaters. And that fits in nicely with the paragraph that I'm writing about liking the cold weather and the cuddly clothing. I also liked this one. Winter came down to our home one night, quietly pirouetting in on silvery-toed slippers of snow, and we were children once again. I actually like both those quotes, and I think I'm going to include them in my paper. Because they're already quoted by their author right there, I already have a quote, and I'm not breaking copyright law when I use them in an educational product. There's one. And there's the other one. I think it's always important when you're pulling things off the internet to include the address so that you can create a bibliography or footnotes if necessary for your paper. I have 2 quotes here. I'm not sure that I'm going to use either one of them. I'm going to take these 2 quotes because I like them so much, and I'm going to keep them, even if I'm not sure if I'll use them for my grabber. So, especially this one, I think I might like to use that in my conclusion. So I'm going to cut it and run it down to my last paragraph, which may need a grabber. I'll pop it in there. I may or may not use it when I get there. I like this one really well, but I haven't considered all my options. So I'm going to make this a smaller font and leave it there while I consider my other options. We've looked at a strong fact or detail. We just tried a quote. How about a short story or scene? That's another good way to start a grabber. How about this scene? I woke up last year on New Year's Day to a house filled with sleepers of all ages, worn out from sledding, bonfires, and fireworks. All except 2. My brother and I slipped out of the house, and no one tried to stop us. Now, as the writer, I know that my brother and I slipped out of the house to go snowboarding. But your reader doesn't know that yet, so this is a good hook. It tells them just enough to get them interested, and then stops. They'll have to read the rest of the paper to find out the answers to the questions that you've raised in their mind. Let's try another idea. Another way of writing a grabber is asking a strong question. So here's our strong question. Is there anything better than speeding down a mountain, flying off a jump, and landing a flip? Here's another strong question. Where can someone too young, we should use the right to, where can someone too young for a driver's license experience speed, hairpin turns, and death-defying stunts? Your paper will answer both of those questions. Another strategy for writing a grabber is to use a statistic. If this were a research paper, I would expect you to go online and find actual research, or go into the library and find actual research that was confirmed. But because this is not a research paper, you can go ahead and use your own experience as your research statistic. For instance, you could write the following. Most people I know spend the winter waiting for the summer. Not me. So we've talked about starting with an unusual detail, a strong fact, a quote, a short story or scene, a statistic, or a strong question. Sometimes your grabber will include several of those at one time. For instance, here's a combination of two grabbers put together. Is there anything better than speeding down a mountain, flying off a jump, and landing a flip on a snowboard? Most people I know spend the winter waiting for the summer. Not me. This grabber combines a quote with a statistic. B. Sibrel wrote, "When the bold branches bid farewell to rainbow leaves, welcome wool sweaters." Most people I know spend the winter waiting for the summer. Not me. I welcome wool sweaters and everything else that winter brings. So you've now been introduced to several ways to write a grabber. You can use an unusual detail, a strong fact, a quote, a short story or scene, a statistic, or a strong question. We will be using a grabber both at the beginning of your paper and in your very last paragraph. In your last paragraph, when you come to your conclusion, you will again grab your reader's attention with an unusual detail, a strong fact, a quote, a short story or scene, a statistic, or a strong question. Winter came down to our home one night, quietly pirouetting in on silver-toed slippers of snow, and we were her children once again. I feel this way every winter. That would be a nice opening to our concluding paragraph. One strategy for the two grabbers in your paper is to start your paper with a scene which you don't conclude. So here's the scene I wrote about New Year's Day and my brother and I slipping out of the house and no one trying to stop us. I'm not going to finish this story. I'm just going to continue my paper and tell about the wonderful things I like about winter. But when I come down to the closing paragraph, the grabber in the closing paragraph can complete that scene. So here, in our conclusion, we can end the scene we began at the beginning of the paper. My brother and I stumbled into the house, exhausted, late New Year's Day. The house was quiet, the guests were gone, and my parents looked up and smiled. Snowboarding on New Year's Day is a great way to celebrate winter. So you've been given several ideas of ways to write grabbers both for your introduction and for your conclusion. I would like you to choose which grabber you will use and write at least one of your grabbers today. Okay, let's get started.